Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into an incredibly fascinating investor pitch that highlights a massive foundational shift happening right now in enterprise cybersecurity. Specifically, we're taking a look at the strategy and financials of Rubrik, ticker symbol RBRK. If you follow tech or cybersecurity, you already know the landscape is shifting under our feet almost daily. And this presentation gives us a really perfect lens to understand exactly how companies are trying to secure the future of data resilience. Okay, let's dive right in. I want to kick things off with a massive number, $4.5 million. According to the source material, this is the average cost of a data breach today. Before we even get into the mechanics of what Rubrik does or their financial metrics, we absolutely have to establish the immense stakes at play here. Data is, without a doubt, the most valuable asset any organization owns today, but that exact value makes it the primary target. When systems go down or data gets locked up, this multi-million-dollar figure is what enterprises are staring down. To unpack this pitch objectively, here is our roadmap for the explainer. We'll start with the cost of data breaches, then we'll meet your data's immune system, unpack the financial growth, evaluate the investment risks, and finally, we'll wrap up with the final verdict. All right, Section 1, the cost of data breaches and exactly why legacy systems are just failing us right now. We aren't just talking about a slow, steady trickle of cybercrime here. The velocity of this threat is staggering. Ransomware attacks are up over 50% year over year. 50%! That is a tremendous acceleration. The bad actors are scaling their operations fast, which creates a really deep sense of urgency for enterprises. The old ways of doing things simply aren't keeping pace with a threat matrix that grows by half in a single year. So the crucial takeaway here is this glaring gap between how we used to protect data and how it's being attacked today. We're used to legacy backups, right? Tape drives and clunky, outdated on-premise software built for a world that frankly no longer exists. Now compare that to modern threats, which are defined by cloud complexity and autonomous, AI-driven cyber attacks. A tape drive literally cannot fight off an AI malware script. This massive vulnerability is the exact gap in the market that Rubrik was built to fill. And that brings us to Section 2, meet your data's immune system, moving way beyond traditional backups. The presentation leans heavily into a really specific analogy, and we need to define it. Rubrik doesn't position itself as just another backup company. They define themselves as a cyber resilience platform. What does that actually mean? Well, it means the focus shifts completely from basic data storage to recovery certainty and real-time defense. Instead of a vault where you just lock your files and hope for the best, think of it as a digital immune system. It actively monitors, fights off infections, and heals the network if a breach actually happens. So how does this build into an active defense process in the real world? The pitch breaks it down into 3 steps. Step 1 is continuous backup across everything: cloud, on-prem, and software as a service environments. Step 2 is where that immune system kicks in: machine learning anomaly detection in real time. It's actively watching the data for any strange behavior. And step 3 is the kicker. If ransomware hits, Rubrik identifies the last clean copy of the data, air-gaps it to protect it from the infection, and orchestrates recovery in minutes, not days. While competitors might just focus on where the data lives, this 3-step process focuses on making sure you can actually get your business back online almost instantly. To validate this technological leap, the pitch provides some pretty heavy-hitting adoption metrics. Rubrik is trusted by over 6,000 enterprise customers. That includes 40% of the Fortune 500. And even more compelling for the business model is their net revenue retention, which sits at over 120%. In simple terms, not only are giant enterprises buying this platform, but once they do, they're consistently spending more money on it year after year. Let's pivot to Section 3, unpacking the financial growth. It's time to objectively evaluate if the company's business traction matches its technological hype, looking specifically at their Q2 fiscal year 2027 results. Let's dig into these dense numbers systematically, because these metrics are where the investor pitch really tries to prove its case. First up, revenue came in at $427 million. That's a 38% year-over-year growth, beating market consensus by over $30 million. Next, earnings per share, or EPS, came in at 20 cents, absolutely smashing the 4-cent estimate. Finally, their key growth metric, subscription annual recurring revenue, hit $1.66 billion, up 33%. These numbers clearly demonstrate a company operating with serious momentum right now. But beyond just a great quarter, the presentation highlights a critical forward-looking indicator. They actually raised their full-year guidance to nearly $1.7 billion. Why does this matter so much? Well, you have to look at the broader macro environment. Right now, a lot of software companies are cutting their forecasts because of economic tightening. The fact that Rubrik is raising theirs sends a massive signal to investors that demand for cyber resilience is accelerating. It's becoming a non-negotiable expense for enterprises, regardless of what the broader economy is doing. However, growth costs money, right? The company is charting a trajectory toward profitability. While they aren't profitable yet on a GAAP basis, the gap is closing fast. Losses narrowed significantly from negative $71 million last year to negative $42 million this quarter. The pitch makes the argument that at this current growth rate, they are on a very clear path to break even within the next 18 to 24 months. To maintain our objective stance in this explainer, we absolutely must look at the bear case. That brings us to Section 4, evaluating the investment risks, or why the market might be pricing in perfection. The presentation is completely upfront about the real-world risks, laying out three main concerns. First is the high valuation. Rubrik trades at a price-to-sales ratio of roughly 13.5. That is a premium compared to most software peers, meaning the stock is essentially priced for perfection. Any future miss on guidance is going to hurt. Second, fierce competition. They aren't operating in a vacuum. Giant legacy players like Dell, Commvault, and Veeam are aggressively fighting for market share. Rubrik has an AI moat, sure, but it's not impossible for competitors to cross it. And third is the profitability timeline. If their growth decelerates faster than expected, but their spending stays high, the stock could face severe multiple compression. These are serious hurdles any investor needs to weigh carefully. Finally, let's move to Section 5, the final verdict, taking a look at the macroeconomic tailwinds and the total addressable market. The closing argument of this pitch positions Rubrik perfectly at the intersection of three massive, unstoppable macro trends. First, cloud adoption. As companies migrate their data, they inherently need new ways to protect it. Second, AI security. As cyber attacks become fully automated and intelligent, the defense mechanisms must be equally advanced. And third, ransomware regulation. Governments worldwide are starting to mandate much stricter data protection and recovery standards. These aren't just passing fads, guys. They are permanent structural shifts in how the world does business. And those tailwinds create an enormous runway for growth. The source projects that the total addressable market for this sector will reach over $30 billion by the year 2030. That is the vast ocean of opportunity that investors are eyeing right now, and the pitch makes the case that Rubrik is taking active market share as the clear leader in this space. To summarize the bullish view presented in the text, it really all comes down to this single quote. You're paying for growth, yes, but you're also buying into a company with a mission-critical product that enterprises literally cannot operate without. The pitch concludes that Rubrik should be considered a core holding for growth portfolios, suggesting initiating a position on any pullback, especially as they scale toward that crucial profitability milestone over the next 12 to 18 months. So, we've seen the impressive growth, the shifting technological landscape, and of course, the very real market risks. But the ultimate question for the future of data resilience remains. As AI threats continue to evolve and become infinitely more sophisticated, will Rubrik's digital immune system actually be able to keep pace? It's a fascinating arms race, and one we will definitely be keeping our eyes on. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.